Hi, this video is to show you how to access the new Kronos scheduler, how to use the system. This will be in addition to the Net Learning module that has a PowerPoint presentation with the same information. So you can refer to either this video or you can refer to the PowerPoint presentation to remind you how to do the different functions. There's four basic functions in here, really. It's accessing it, it's putting your schedule in, doing shift swaps, and putting in availability. So we'll go through basic access. You sign in just like you normally would. This is your regular clock in and out screen. This is where you clock in and out. If you want to access the scheduler, you go to My Calendar, and it's going to look a little different than you're used to. Your schedule. This is our current schedule period. This is the week we're in. A day you're working would look like this on your schedule. Up here, there's just different things like open shifts. Like if we have positions that are still available, they will show up there. Unpaid time off that was requested, which is basically vacation time, will show up here if you've submitted it. Once it's been approved, it'll show up in the entire area. This one will show up as green in the whole area, just like this did. So you can look at different time periods. This looks at it'll default to the current schedule period, but you can look at previous, next pay period, next schedule period, specific days. You can also click on the calendar to put in specific dates if you want to, if they're not an option in the drop down. Also, you can look at it by a single day view. This is the 22nd. This is one day. You can scroll through the different time periods. This is a week view, the 18th to the 24th. This is the entire week, and this is the month view. One thing about the month view is that because not a lot can fit in these month squares, some features are not available in the month view, just such as putting your schedule in. You have to look at it either by day or by week is more appropriate because you can do a week at a time, but not a month at a time for putting your schedule in. You can also toggle between, like if you're on the week view, you can toggle between weeks with this button right here. It'll show you what the week time frame is and the dates here. You can also, the visibility filter is just what types of things are you going to see on your screen. So you can see requests, open shifts, availability, holidays, open shifts, all different things. You can either, if it's checked, it's going to show up. If you don't want these things to show up on your schedule, you can uncheck it and it'll remove them. So availability is one thing if you wanted to see what you put in for your availability, which is your ROs, the days you would prefer to not work, the days you would prefer to work, or the days that are fine you can work or not work. It doesn't matter. If you select that, it'll show up as a color behind the behind the dates on there. Also, the more button here is where you'll do your schedule. So you can request self-schedule, which is where you will put in your schedule date. Requesting a shift swap. If you are working a day, you want to have it off, you can automatically put in a request for another employee through request shift swap. And request to change your availability is basically just a preference. Your availability is your preference, whether you would rather work that day, with whether you would rather have it off. It's like your ROs that you write on the schedule, your request offs. This is where you would put it there, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Down here also, this is your accrual balances, so you can see how much PTO, ELB you have, and the location schedule down here. This is where you can actually see who else is scheduled on your unit the same time period. So this is Sunday the 18th to the 24th. So whatever time frame you're looking at, the location schedule down here will be the same time period. So you can filter it by location if you can, but actually you're going to default to where you're at. If there's people that can see several locations, you may be able to look at different locations, but most employees will have their home location defaulted here. But you can filter it by the role. So if you only want to see other monitor techs that are working, you uncheck those and then just click outside somewhere, and it's only going to be the monitor techs that are working. So you can see who's working on the 20th. On the 20th, this is also who's working. You can change it by time or by label, and what that means is we have special labels for the shifts. The first number is the time the shift starts. The second letter is A, B, C, or D, and that depends on whether it starts on the hour, quarter after, 30 past, or quarter till. So A, B, C, D. A is on the hour, B is 15 minutes after the hour. And the last number is how long the shift is. So this starts at 7 a.m., it's on the hour, it's a 12-hour shift. If you want to change it to the time, it'll show you the times. Click on the label, but you can also hover over it and it'll show you the times also. So if you want to put your schedule request in, up here are icons, so when the schedule is ready to be filled in by staff, you'll get an alert that the schedule is ready up here. You go to the More button. The More button, again, is where you do your schedule request and shift swaps and availability. You click, actually, you need to select the correct time period. You're going to go to the next schedule period. Make sure you're always in the correct schedule period or time period for what you want to do. So we want to put our schedule in for the next schedule period and request self-schedule. That's you putting your schedule in. You'll get a little message here, and that's fine. And it just says it's going to change it to 1:15 to 2:11. And you'll see that on each of the days, there's different shifts that are available. The little radial buttons are options. So each time there's a little round button, that's an option. If there's not a button with your shift on it for that day, that means that those shifts have been filled. So there are no more shifts for that day. So if you don't have an option, that means they're filled. So for Maria's, we're using Maria's schedule as an example. So for the first week of the 15th through the 21st, we'll just put her in a couple days, go to the next week, put her in a couple days here, the next week, select a couple days, and then the next week, put in a couple days. You put your shifts in that you want, and again, you can change it by the label or by the time, and then you submit it. If you're not sure what you want to do, you can save it as a draft and go back and finish it later on. But you submit it, and then it had submitted. So they had put in the schedule. It's also, just so you know, it's on the schedule here, but it will not be final until the scheduler balances the schedule out. You'll see it on there, but it's not final until the day that we post the schedule, which is either 2 weeks before the schedule starts or per your director. If they're done balancing, they can post it earlier, but it's typically about 2 weeks before the schedule is live. So these are on there. You can see them there. If you wanted to go in and request a shift swap, say you're working on this day and you need it off and somebody else is working on this day, you could submit it. You go to request shift swap, you put in the day that you want to, if you want off, and so we'll go to February 10th. It'll fill in. If it doesn't fill it in, it means that you're not working on that day. And you put in what day you want to work or what day you want to swap, not work. You put that date in, and anybody that's working that day and can swap with you will come up here. This one doesn't have anybody because I didn't build it in, but you'll see different employees populate here. You select the person that you want to swap with, and you could put a little note in, say, I have a doctor's appointment this day. I would like to swap. Don't choose a bunch of people. Choose one person at a time, because it'll be confusing if a bunch of people say yes and not everybody will get it. So put the note in, select the employee, and submit it. They'll get a message on their computer here, and they'll get an email also. So they'll know to go in, look at the shift swap that was requested, and if they accept it, it'll automatically be put in the system. And in the example on the PowerPoint presentation in the module in Net Learning, you'll see what that looks like. I just don't have that built in the system to show you right here, but I could probably do another quick little video later on to show you that. Another feature in the Under the More button is the Request Change Availability, which just means your preferences for the shift. This shows a month period, so we'll do next schedule period, which is the 15th to the 11th. Each one of these is a day in the week, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. It'll automatically default to available, which is, it's not like you really want to work it and don't want to work it. It's just fine. You're available those days. If you really don't want to work some days, and these are your ROs, it's still the same protocol for the ROs, 5 per schedule. You put the days that you you request off. So I'd really rather not work these days. I'd really rather not work these days. And on that, you can put a little note too. Say, have a birthday party to go to. The schedulers can see that. So if you really want a day off and it's for a specific reason, you can put notes in there. Preferred is the days, like if you really would rather work some days, and the schedulers will look at this to balance it. Once you put your schedule in, it's not final till the scheduler balance it. So if you say, I'd really rather work these days, you can put preferred on them. And so they know when they're balancing, if they have to move people, they'll move you to these days. They'll not move you to these days if they can. So you submit it, and you'll see, if you look at the availability and you check your availability, you see the colors behind that. The schedulers also see this color. So when they're balancing, they know what days to try to accommodate for you. Another feature of the availability that's beneficial if you put your availability in is for the staffing office, because some of the automated staffing features that we have use the availability to prioritize who gets the calls. So we have the text messaging that's going to be using these priorities or looking for people to fill. It's not going to be sending messages to people that are preferring to have the time off, but it will be prioritizing to the top of the list the days that people say they prefer to work. So it's beneficial for multiple reasons for you to put your availability in. All right, that's the basic features for this. Again, look at the PowerPoint presentation that will be being pushed out to you soon. But this is a quick overview. Well, maybe not so quick, but it's a fairly brief overview of the new scheduling system. And again, once your schedule is put in, you'll see your schedule on your calendar. So this is your calendar. All righty. Thank you very much.